Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. All their favorite songs are slow and sad.
Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a real good time together. We are going to the sunny climes of Southern California.
Indeed.
With the Palms,
Yes.
which is just two dudes.
Indeed.
So we talk about their record, their upcoming tour, all of that. It's a fun interview.
It is a fun interview.
They're like kind of a studio band, or have been up to this point. So there's all sorts of...
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, I thought you were making a face like you were going to be like, aren't all bands studio bands?
No, they're not.
Well, no, it's a good thing, but they have just made their first public performance. It is not like
they have taken their foray out publicly.
Yes, they
out
have
of the
not
walls.
been forged in the fire of live performance.
Precisely.
So we have that in a moment, which is lovely.
Yes.
A few things to go over. Again, I feel like this is nothing but a show where we just list off people who have died.
I know, I don't want to do that.
But obviously, Vaya con Dios, Shane McGowan,
Indeed,
and now Danny Lane from Wings.
Oh,
not great.
It's been a week.
It has, and it's only Wednesday.
It is
not to really put my finger on the scale and bring us all down.
Oh, well, you're good at it.
And Kiss is done.
For now. They have to redeem themselves. I'm sorry. They have to redeem themselves.
I mean, I think there will be some sort of, but their avatars are very weird looking to me.
No, they're terrible.
Because Gene and Paul both look like Gene and Paul now.
Right.
Which, why don't you go back to old Gene and Paul?
Right, or like a new and improved Gene and Paul.
That's true. And I haven't gotten a good look because it's hard to tell on the little YouTube thing. Who are the Spaceman and the Catman?
Spaceman and the Catman are no longer in the band.
But this is what I'm saying. But whose face is behind the Spaceman? Is it just like generic dude with permed hair?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gone that deep on that.
This is my concern, dude.
I know, right?
I mean,
and I feel like if I was the Catman, I'd want to have the rights to the Catman.
Well, that's part of the problem for those two individuals.
I know it is, but I would not want, I don't know. It's weird. My Funko Pop is definitely formed in the likeness of Peter Criss.
Praise be in that regard. Yeah, I don't know. It's you would think they'd be able to come to some sort of agreement.
One would think.
Where Spaceman will look like Ace and the Catman will look like Peter. I don't know if all the parties involved are interested in that.
Well, no, I don't know if they are
either. Which is a damn shame.
But
frankly, either the Spaceman says "ack" or
the Spaceman has to say "ack." That should have been the first thing.
You would think.
If I go to and ask AI to tell me about the Spaceman, the AI should just say "ack."
That would be amazing. That is AI being used for good.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Completely.
It's weird. I watched part of the show. Somebody on Friday night live streamed it from their phone on, I think it was YouTube. Exact same show that I saw 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then apparently Saturday was the exact same show they played the night before.
Which is very weird to me.
Yeah. Like there's a very brief farewell message from Paul, but it was like a new era begins. Like, it was all marketing. It wasn't like even
Right.
On Friday, he did make some reference to like the fact how great it was to be finishing at Madison Square Garden. And he said, like, when we first played here in 1970, whatever it was, he pointed out where his parents and Gene's parents sat. And you could tell that he was getting a little emotional thinking about it.
Sweet.
Yeah. And you would expect that for the last show.
Something. Yeah.
Not to scan my QR code.
Well, they probably gonna scan my QR code too.
Right. It sounds kind of rude when you say scan my QR code.
I don't know. Sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah. But I would have hoped for a little more emotion.
Yeah. Well,
But they did end by just playing over the loudspeakers, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, which is sort of,
I mean, yes, but
because God gave rock and roll to everyone.
yes, this is true.
Yeah.
Anthem to live by. That is a hymn for the heavens.
Please turn to page 45
in your Kiss hymnal. Yes. That'd be amazing.
That would be great.
We should do a rock and roll. I'm surprised no one's ever tried to put the rock and roll hymnal out.
Somebody must have.
Well, they've never done it successfully enough for us to know about it. And I feel like there are
that's
so
not
many.
on us. That is not on us.
Because you got your Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
Got your Dear God. I don't like that song, but
I like it, but it kind of.
What if God was one of us? Also not.
I don't know. I like Prince's version. It's pretty good.
Well, yeah.
I mean, even Nothing Compares to You would be great.
Oh, that's true.
Speaking of His Purple Highness.
Yes.
I mean, Purple Rain.
Right.
If that's not a song about
When Doves Cry.
That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Angel of Harlem.
Yeah. She Talks to Angels.
She Talks to Angels.
Aerosmith's Angel.
Pride in the Name of Love.
Yes.
I mean, basically anything U2's ever done.
Pretty much, yeah.
They could be a whole section.
I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, though, that I noticed or just heard about is that they announced the final 4 dates at the Sphere.
I saw.
What did you see? The other little piece of information that some internet sleuth has found out.
What? That Larry's going to be there?
Well, Larry's replacement, his band is playing Europe that week and on
So
those actual dates. Maybe? Question mark? Larry, if you're listening to the show, and we know you are.
Which you are.
Yes. Thank you for your support and your patronage. We appreciate it very much.
Will you please come pick up Heidi in Detroit on your way?
Yeah, we're not going to ask much. I was just about to say, we're not asking much. And you're like, can you swing the jet 20 degrees north?
That's not, that is not a lot. I'm not asking for a hotel. I'm not asking even for, just pick me up on the way.
Yeah.
Better for the environment.
This is true. So perhaps Larry will get to play the Sphere.
I mean, that'd be awesome.
It would be nice for him.
I know.
I wonder what he's thinking with all of this.
He's probably curled up with a dog.
Because like
watching some movies, being like,
Because like they're not a band that has any internal strife, or if they do, it does not ever come out.
Well, they did like back in, oh, you mean like between each other?
Correct, yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've dealt with each other's like issues and.
But it is not a public forum.
Correct. Not at all.
Use the media. You know, it's not a Making Keith or any other band who kind of uses Gene and Paul, for example.
Gene and Paul.
Who fight their battles in public. It's all very private.
Mm-hmm.
And so in
Liam
some ways,
and Noel.
Speaking of fighting, yes, very much.
Neil and Tim.
Yes.
Even my brother's Finn.
Ray and Dave. I mean,
yeah.
Phil and Don, Chris and Rich. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Dwayne and Greg, maybe? I don't know. There must.
I think so. Yeah. In the book, they would talk about a little bit.
Yeah. Which is a perfect stocking stuffer. We should mention that.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And we've got a few other book-related interviews, and I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed reading all of them.
Oh, me too. I love it. It's like the best homework ever.
Yeah. So I don't want to say stay tuned for that because that seems like a
weird TV
show.
So yes. Yeah, but you should. But so I have you probably already know the answer to this, and I'm going to be annoyed because it shocked me. I didn't know.
Okay, that's gonna be fun.
I know. So do
I'm
you
gonna
know?
say I knew, even if I
No,
didn't.
do you know who the co-writer of You Make Me Feel Like Dancing is? Uncredited, but acknowledged as co-writer.
I feel like I've heard this at some point, but I cannot remember.
Ray Parker Jr.
Okay, I did not know that. Wow.
I know. Fascinating, right? I learned it in, remember Paramount put out like a
Oh, the Ray
three-part,
Parker Jr. tell-all.
no, a three,
Oh.
no, but we should write that because
Okay.
his story is way more interesting than one would know. Put out
Mhm.
this like three-part yacht rock documentary back in the
Okay.
summer. And it was one of those ones where Rachel and Dave were like, oh, we all need to watch that together. And then they precisely never wanted to watch it. So it sat
Mhm.
there. And for some reason, I decided to start watching it all these
Yeah.
months later. And
It
Yachtly
seems
Crew
like a good
is
time of
featured
year.
in there. Yes. Our friends from Yachtly Crew do make
Mhm.
an appearance. But Ray Parker Jr. is in it quite a bit.
Huh.
And they talked about that. And Leo Sayer is one of his best friends.
Huh.
And the reason he didn't get credit had nothing to do with him. It
Mhm.
was due to, record execs and whatnot. But he's written for like all sorts of people. And I think that's the coolest little trivia
Yeah.
thing around.
That is fun. I did not know that.
I was excited to tell you.
Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, similar, but not in a way that, and I am blanking on his name right now. Rupert Holmes is known as a, like he wrote Jekyll and Hyde the musical.
Yes, which I love, by the way.
That tracks, novelist, all this other stuff. And all anyone knows him for is the Pina Colada song.
I know. He's on there a lot. And some very sad things about Captain Tennille in the.
Oh, really? Which one, Captain or Tennille?
Well, kind of both. I mean, like she basically says that he never told her he loved her.
Oh, Captain.
I know that he was very kind of cold
Captain.
and cut off. But what she did say, she said, looking back now, she wonders if perhaps he was on the spectrum or there was something like that, that just, they didn't know what it was. And so it was just the best. She's like, he did the best he could do. So it's not like she was dogging them. She was just more like, he wasn't this effusive, which, I mean, even when you watch him play, he's not. She's the one who's all, do that to me one more time. Right.
Did she answer the question if he ever took that sailor hat off when they made Whoopi?
I don't know. They haven't said it yet. If they did.
We got to book her on the show.
We do. I hope he didn't. I hope he kept it on.
I hope she doesn't hear this, frankly.
Why?
I don't think she's going to come on the show if she hears us talking like.
Well, though she'll know the question we're going to ask, and she can dodge it or choose to answer it. She can still come on the show. I'm a mega fan of their work.
No, and so I mean, I guess it was love that kept them together.
Muskrat love, to be precise.
It's a problem with some of these books. It's just all disheartening and sort of the behind the scenes.
It's not.
Well, sometimes.
You literally just said, I've really enjoyed reading these. The problem with these is they're really disheartening. They crush all your hopes and dreams.
Some
they
of
do
them,
not.
But I should say this one from
excellent.
Future friend of the show, Laurel Tolhurst. For a book about goth, it's really lovely and touching.
It is really lovely, yes.
The way he works his own personal narrative into it and name checks and spends the end of the book going through all the current bands or bands that came after. It's very, very nice.
It is. It's well written. It's good.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, but sometimes when you see behind the curtain, I mean, one of my favorite books of the past few years was Steve Gorman's Hard to Handle, about his time in the Black Crowes, which is amazing as far as tell-alls go. And if you have any interest in that band, I highly recommend it. Okay. But you don't leave feeling warm fuzzies for the Robinsons.
Of course not. But, that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we have enough. I can cut some of that out. The parts where you correct me. And
Always.
yeah.
And only include the parts where you correct me. Yeah, that seems right. I mean, that seems absolutely right.
Yeah. Did you know who co-wrote You Make Me Feel Like Dancing? Is it Ray Parker Jr.? It's Ray Parker Jr.
It's right. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How'd the show go? You guys played Wednesday night? Is that right?
We did play Wednesday night. Yeah. It went really well. We sold it out, which is a great feeling. We hadn't played LA in a while too, so that was a really good little homecoming show. We've been in the studio for almost 2 years working on our new album. So that took sort of precedent. So this was the first show. And yeah, it couldn't have really gone better. And it sort of was a kind of, we debuted a bunch of new songs. We have a new band member and kind of a whole new setup. So we test run that whole thing. And then we go on a huge tour starting January 11th.
Nice.
So this was the first time you took some of these songs out and pushed them into the yard and see if they could stand on their own two legs.
Hey, that's what's funny is that on stage I said these songs were an embryo. And now they've grown, and now we get to show them. I literally, the words out of my mouth. So yes, they were able to stand on their own 2 feet, and well received. And you never know when you debut new songs too, and people are there to see the old stuff or whatever. But they were along for the ride too, and positive feedback. So that always feels good.
Were there any that surprised you? Was the one, like the new one, that stood out the most to the crowd? Was it the one you expected, or?
I don't know, Ben. Do you feel like one?
I feel like Maggie's Garden, which is one that we haven't released yet, got a really good response. I mean, that's all I was hearing about was the new stuff. So I feel like they all kind of stood out, which is, I don't know, it definitely feels good after having zero idea how anyone's going to respond to them.
That's gotta be terrifying.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But so rare for it to work out that way, which is what's so cool. Because I mean, obviously, everyone always is like, "But I love this. What's this?" So to have everyone focused on the new stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and then I also came home to a YouTube comment on Push Off, someone saying that this is our only good song, and they wish we just stuck to writing songs like that. So.
Oh, there you go. So the internet still does what it was meant to do.
Brought me back to earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Heaven forbid.
Well, this is funny too, because when you spend that much time, because it's just Ben and I, right? And we write, record, produce, mix, engineer, play everything. So it's just like we just are totally in a bubble, and we just write the music at the time that feels good to us without any outside sort of like influence or idea of what's happening. It's just like it's whatever has been affecting us in our little bubble and how we want to express that. And this is always how we kind of have done it, based on life experiences and what's happening just inside our world. And obviously the greater world at large too. Obviously we're super affected by everything, but you just never know how it's going to be received by anybody. And obviously that's not like the intention. The intention is if we feel good about it and we like it, then that's, then we're in a good place. But then you just give it out to the world and you're like, it's yours now. I hope this works, so it's always good to get positive feedback.
What's interesting, I feel like artists either fall into your category of like, we want to perfect and shine this thing until it is exactly what we want, and then the other half is sort of taking it out and kind of tweaking it and working on it, going, well, this went well, this verse went over better than this needs a rewrite. Does that scare you at all, to spend so much time on this thing and make it where you're like, this is the perfect representation of how we feel about this thing, and with this, because songs obviously will grow, and what they mean to you in 3 years will not mean what they meant to you. How have these songs changed? Maybe that's to cut this all down to one question. How have these songs changed in the 2 years since you started writing them?
Well, I mean, I think I was going to say, like, from the time that we, are on the couch writing the song, when the skeleton and the lyrics kind of come together, the time that it's actually mixed, actually I feel like especially for this album, they took a while to really come together. So there is a lot of tweaking like as it's going on. Which so it's not like it's like we're putting this thing and fine tuning it right there on the spot and then that's how it lives. I feel like it definitely took its time getting to a place where like, okay, I think this is gonna kind of work the way that we hoped it would. I don't know. Are you referring to more like how they evolve live once they're out there, or?
I mean, like to listening to Ready or Not, like that thing has like such a lovely, and I mean this in the most complimentary way. Like it's smooth, it's polished, it is very clearly crafted, labored over, and you really spent some time and put a lot of work into it to make it sound that way.
Thank you.
But
yeah, thanks.
But there is that element of
it's
like,
a butt.
Well, no.
There's always a butt. Always be wary of a compliment.
I was waiting for the no offense, but
right.
No, I know
that's my favorite.
That right there, we do like we talk about it just amongst ourselves, like how most people have no idea how long it takes to just make one of these songs. Before you go into the butt, just thank you on that.
No, and I don't mean it as a but. I mean it as just, does it scare you at all to put something like this together that clearly spent a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of thought and a lot of heart that goes into this to come right? And I feel like any big project, any big art project, painting, film, television, music, you're putting so much time and energy into it. Do you care what the audience thinks in some ways? Or is it just, this is the song we wrote, we're very, very happy with how this sounds, and in some regards you can take it or leave it? Or I don't know.
That's so interesting. I mean, I think we'd be lying if we said we didn't care at all what anybody said. Like if we sent it out to people and it just was crickets, like that would probably seep in a bit, even though if we really loved it. But we definitely aren't writing specifically to appease anybody but ourselves. So it's sort of, because what we had finished the entire album before a single other person had heard any of the music outside of us. Right. So it's like, here is this evolution of our sound. Here's a body of work that represents exactly where we are right now. We're gonna just like hammer through this, and then also we mixed it for the first time ever. Really, I mean, we mixed some of the previous stuff too, but a full album mixing it too. So it's just like it was a ton of time that we put into it, but it's just one of those things where you kind of have to believe in yourself more than anyone else is going to believe in you, because no one even knows what the hell we do 99% of the time. It's like.
And you're quoting, the press release quotes Nina Simone. So you're starting at a pretty good base. It's not like you guys are making Metal Machine music too.
Right.
The new Andre 3000 flute album. Like you're starting with like a.
I do want to hear that.
Oh, it's really great. I'm loving it. But it is not, it's not this. It is not what you guys are doing. It's a different thing. And like I hear, all the different bands that are name checked in the press release and the interview, but like I get a very like John Bryan sense of it, where again there's a lot of time and a lot of love put into this to make it sound this way. Is that always has been your intention? Is that we want to craft these teenage symphonies to God, to coin a phrase?
I think it's definitely, the crafting has kind of become more sophisticated just as we've learned how to work our way around Pro Tools and just become more confident, I think, in our like engineering and mixing and production skills for sure. Like I think we both felt like this album was on a different level from the stuff that we'd done before, which I think has just come with like, the hours that we've spent.
Also the kind of the genesis of this project too has a lot to do with the sound and the sort of ethos around the entire thing, like why we sound the way we sound, like how we do this whole thing. Because I don't know if you know our backstory, but we were in another band before called Terraplane Sun, signed a record deal and got absolutely screwed to the worst degree, which is not even getting dropped. It's actually remaining stuck signed to a label that doesn't like you. In a multi-album deal. That is literally the worst.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So we had to kill that project on the spot, and we had momentum songs and movies, touring with Imagine Dragons. We were like rocking and rolling, and they just didn't get it. Yada yada, cliche. It's music business story. So Push Off, the first song that we wrote as the Palms, really tells everything. Tells about everything that we went through, how we're gonna move forward. You know, while you're sitting on the sideline, like I'm going forward with or without you, like this, it's our choice to like fulfill our own dreams and destiny, whatever that may be. So like we're doing it with or without you. So you know, that kind of like that set the tone for this entire project. So like we're doing it on our way, our time frame, the music we want to make. Like no restrictions, doesn't matter if there's a laser, who doesn't care where that came from. If we're gonna have some reggae influences, it's like whatever is us, and we're not beholden to anybody. And so that's just kind of like, it's been like punk rock in that sense. And then we produced everything from day one and played everything, just two people. So it's like that was full control, full freedom, you know. So yeah, that kind of just set the tone for this whole project. And then obviously we became better producers, better songwriters, and evolved into kind of the songs and everything's, you know, it's just been like a gradual process. But
having that freedom, did the like creative process speed up instantly, or was it like, wait, this is weird? Can we work in the deep end? Do we have to tread water? Do we dive? What do we do?
First, we had to learn how to work Pro Tools. That was first. We had no idea. We had no clue.
Like,
Yeah. So like, first things first is you got to be like, how the hell do I even record this stuff? So you start there, and then through that experimenting and that sort of thing, you know, then everything starts to kind of like fall into place. But yeah, Ben, what do you think?
I was just gonna say we've actually opened up some older sessions recently, just because we're trying to rework some things for the live. So, and the sessions are just a disaster. It's like us trying to figure out how to work Pro Tools in real time. Pretty crazy.
While releasing music, and like, you know, it was just punk rock. It's like, okay, cool. Here's something. Don't know what the hell it is, but like, something we've created, and this is our new, you know. So it's like, take it.
Well, and as Johnny was talking about, you know, putting this all together in the 2 years, Ben, is it like a scrapbook now to look back at it, or is it as you open these things up, it's like, oh, we've learned so much more since, you know, we're so much older than or younger than, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
so much younger than so much older than we are now.
Yeah.
But like, oh, we can do this thing better now as we're mixing it, or let's just drop this little thing in. Or is it like just this great scrapbook of the rebirth of the two of you as artists?
I think it's all the above, you know. I mean, we've definitely you know, figured out a way to kind of operate our little home studio in a way that we're confident, you know, enough to like go from, you know, the start to the end and put it out there, except for the mastering. I know that was a process, especially for Johnny. I'm kind of more of just like, fuck it, let's do it. He's a little bit more methodical about things, which is good because it kind of balances our thing out. But yeah.
In terms of the scrapbook thing, I think 100%. Like listening back, I mean, I won't even go into detail because it's personal. But like, yeah, Maggie, starting with Maggie's Garden, like that song has layers that are way deeper than anyone's gonna ever know because I'm not gonna personally talk about it. But so 100% is a scrapbook. I mean, we really write about what's happening to us and in the world, even in real time, and we put it down. I mean, like if you go back through our catalog too, it's like listen to Human Condition. We wrote it's like just because you shared it in enough, we're living in a world that needs saving, everyone around us divided up. There's never been a wall more famous. You know, it's like we're literally talking about what's happening right now. I'm hard pressed to find anyone else who's doing anything even remotely close to talking about what's happening in the world at the time and writing it down into a quote unquote pop song or whatever the hell you want to call it, you know, indie rock. Like no one's talking about anything remotely close to like that's it's like if this was the 60s, we'd be out there with Buffalo Springfield,
right?
We'd be out there turning songs around in 24 hours. Like shit is crazy right now, and
Yeah.
no one is saying anything.
Everyone's paralyzed by it.
Ready or
Everyone's just
Not, like Ready or Not is a perfect example. It's like the ship is going down. Like this is sci-fi, but it's real life. It's all been written down. Ready or Not, we are fucked. Like you get like you picking up what we're putting down here. Like
right.
And also, if you watch the music video, there's Easter eggs all through that thing. I don't think people even pick up on that. Like
Easter eggs are really depressing hints. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah,
or depressing hints, whatever. Hey, we try to be as obvious as possible because you kind of have to hold people's hands every now and then. But like, look around, like over commercialization of the U.S. Obviously, the craziness of these like pseudo religions that are like taking over and culty kind of things. Because people are looking for community and are feeling really disenfranchised and disillusioned by stuff. We're writing about, I mean, whether you know it or not, like.
Well, you even said, you know, the line you were just reciting, you know, referencing the wall. And part of me was going to be like, well, do you guys worry that this stuff is going to appear dated in 2 years' time or 3 years' times? But it seems like there's always going to be a wall somewhere in some form or another.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's all pretty cyclical.
It's symbolic. Yeah.
It is. Really nothing.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, man, I don't even really know how many people are gonna latch on to the message because it's a pretty catchy song. Maybe a few, but it's just unfortunately, you know.
Isn't that a good way to?
You know,
That's how you lure them in. Yeah.
A spoonful of sugar.
And eventually it'll catch. Like after they've sung it 1,000 times, then one day they'll go, oh.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it too. Well, going back to your question just about, you know, the fear of releasing music that you've labored over and how people are going to respond. I've also kind of tempered my expectations just knowing that people, like, listening to music is such a process and it hits people at different times and they don't react immediately. It might hit them, you know, at a certain time in their life. I just know how it's affected me. So, you know, it's like maybe it hits people. You know, the universe is kind of tapped in with itself and everyone as well. So yeah, it's out there, you know, so the rest is up to kind of, the universe.
The part is that people find different meaning in it, how they find it. And that's more than it's no longer ours anymore. We wrote it about that, but that's generally why people shouldn't really talk about what the song is about, because it kind of takes away other people's interpretations of it too. So it's kind of like, it is what it is, but people find the deeper meaning, or they don't. They like it for the song and it makes them feel a certain way. Maybe that's because of the deeper meaning. They just don't even realize it, but whatever it is, it's doing something, you know. But we met a girl at the show the other night who had "All For You" tattooed on her, you know, and she's like, and it's written in Ben's handwriting, you know, and it's like she ripped it off something that she saw or off a signature, whatever it was. But she's like, this song got me through an extremely dark and difficult time in my life. And that's not maybe particularly what we wrote it about, but that's how it affected her, you know. So like, even if it doesn't have to be a Ready or Not where we're literally like handing it to you on a silver platter. Like maybe it's a song that just for some reason spoke to her in that way, and that's you know, that's as special and real as, you know, as anything else. So,
and what better encouragement to keep doing stuff this way, that you put these songs out there into the ether, you kind of push them out into the water and watch them sail off and come back when, you know, like you said, it has this resonance with somebody that you don't know, and you're just putting it out there and hope that it affects people, you know, the way that you wanted it to, and you aimed to, that it affected you.
Sure, yeah. I think that comes with staying authentic and like writing the stuff that you care about, and then someone out there is feeling the same way, so it's gonna connect, you know. But it's about people hearing it too. That's the hard part now.
Yeah. And I'm assuming doing this stuff live is such a great way to sort of get somebody's attention. Obviously, they need to be in the room and ready to listen, but once you do that, you've got this chance to sort of say, hey, here's what we're thinking about, and here's what we feel, and maybe you feel the same way. So you've got to be excited
100%.
to take this stuff out and share it with people.
Beyond.
Yeah, very. And yeah, and that was kind of a tease the other night, just to have whatever it is, a month and a half until the next show. I just wanted to get back at it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably our biggest goal now, is to really try to take this thing and, expand the live aspect of it. Because you're right, it really is the most intimate and effective way to connect with people. I think, yeah, we're focused on that for sure, which we haven't been in a long time.
What's the band size? Because to try to create something, are you reworking these songs for the live experience, or are you able to kind of replicate it pretty well?
We get close. It's 5 total now.
All right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in our
very
the fifth-
talented people.
Yeah, all really heavy duty Berkeley cats. I think they're, except for and our auxiliary guys tap dancing around a bunch of. I mean, we covered a Fade Into You at the show, and he was playing lap steel and whirly, and then he's got a guitar around his, so we're covering a lot of bases. Yeah. So we're reworking them live, yeah, and then extended solos and improvisational sections, and we're just trying to make it fun and exciting and keep us interested and try something new. Because when it was, Ben and I for forever, we've had sort of like a different cast of characters come through and play with us, and it was a hybrid thing for a long time too. Like we were heavily influenced by hip hop when we started the band as well too. It's just like, okay, let's throw it all in there. Like, why we don't have to be this 5-piece rock band that we were, where everybody plays on every song and it has to be like in this lane. Now we can do whatever the hell we want to do. So it's like we had putting 808s and claps and like everything, whatever the hell we wanted to do. There's no rules. So we were trying to figure out how to bring that to the live show. So we kept a lot of stuff. We had triggers and stuff like that too. So now we're kind of just like reimagining some stuff, but also it's fun to like just drop in with 808s still, and my drummer's got an SPD pad, and like that's still there because that's the essence of the band, but it's just the sound's changing a bit more.
Coming down, I can feel it creeping up again. Went to bed with a dozen roses in my head.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website at rockandrollgradschool.com, and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hedquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thank you, good night, and may all your favorite bands stay together.
To get that sugar.